As far as numbers go, we've probably had 10 to 15 clients reach out in the past 2 to 3 weeks. The process is super simple. It's everything's kind of laid out in a framework to follow that makes it easy. Don't hesitate, just do it.
All right. So today we have a case study with one of the accounting firms that I've been working with for a while. So James, good to have you again. Quickly, if you could introduce yourself and what do you do and what your accounting firm does to everyone who's watching this, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So my name is James. I'm the CFO of Prism Financial. And what we kind of do is we do a lot of bookkeeping, we do tax, we do some fractional CFO work. We do tax strategy is one of our biggest kind of services that we offer, just because they kind of all work together. We also do, credit repair, business funding. So we kind of touch on every aspect of financial services to try to find the best service for our client at that time. We like to take a more individual tailored approach just because every situation is kind of different.
Yeah, for sure. And could you tell about some of the types of clients you work with currently?
Yeah, so we work with a lot of big marketing agencies, just because those feel like we can best service them and help them in in the best way possible. Whether it's tax strategy because they end up bringing a lot of money in, so we have to offset their tax liability. So we come up with a bunch of different strategies for that. Another big avenue is construction. We have a bunch of construction clients and home services, and also we do work with real estate investors as well. A bunch of buying holds, fix and flips, and even ground up builds.
Nice. Yeah. So you guys are pretty much deep into the tax strategy and the accounting space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it all starts with the bookkeeping.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so going back to, how did you find out about us and our services and really got started working with them, strategy?
Yeah, so me and you connected over Instagram, probably over a week or two, just having multiple conversations. We've decided that it was best to just finally hop on a Zoom call. We had the call and just decided all right, this makes sense for us to kind of move forward and kind of work together. And then that was really wasn't even a hard decision at that point because I knew we needed the help in the content and the marketing side of things. So it was a no brainer at that point.
Of course, no. Thanks for mentioning that. But yeah, so where was your business, before we connected and started working together, and what are some of the things you guys were struggling with?
So we have a decent income for just only starting a couple months ago,
hmm
and our biggest bottleneck was always the marketing, the content side of things. I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of person, so for me to get out and film content and just follow your guidance with the frameworks and all the step by steps, that made it easier because being in front of a camera, I'm super uncomfortable.
hmm
So, having you kind of walk me through everything and, on a step by step, the guidance, reviewing the content together, that was a huge, huge change for us. And because of that, our content has gotten more engagement. We've gotten a few clients from it. And it's just overall building more of a presence that we really needed.
Nice. Yeah. And could you explain some of the things that those content and everything benefited when after you guys were able to use them?
Yeah, so with the editing, that took out one of the biggest problems because I don't know how to edit. Basically, following, kind of helping with the scripting because I just kind of ramble. So having a clear, outline of everything that was going to happen with the content. So start to finish, the hook, what you say, and then you coming in with the editing. It took crappy content and made it actually good. We were getting the views on it, so we had an increase in views, increase in comments, likes, just complete total change from what it was originally.
Yeah, for sure. No, honestly, this is good to hear. And yeah, so could you explain how that impacted your business? Did you guys get more people reaching out to you? Was it more, more any numbers you wanna mention would be awesome as well.
Yeah, so our average views were around 1 to 200. Likes were not that much, maybe 20 to 50, give or take. The new content, we're averaging anywhere from 500 to 1,000 views. We don't have big profiles, so it's kind of in a ballpark. It's just gradually more than what we were getting. We've had a couple of new people reach out, some clients that want to work with us because of it, and more just engagement, just appreciating the knowledge we're giving them. So that's the biggest takeaway from it is we're getting that engagement where people are actually seeing us and appreciating the value we give. So just more of that is going to increase more client. But as far as numbers go, we've probably had 10 to 15 clients reach out in the past 2 to 3 weeks, I'd say.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And yeah, and that's another thing when you're an accounting firm or in a financial service, it's not the ones, like your videos are not going to go viral, right? Unless you're saying something obscene.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about other tax advisors who say very absurd things just for the views, but it's more about giving the value so that the right people reach out to you and start having the conversation so they can decide if you guys want to work together or not.
Yeah, because
Right.
we don't want to take the guru approach where we just try to get somebody in the door. It's the information we want to give, we want to be able for them to take away something from it and actually implement it in their own business. So it's not about, oh, hey, just do this strategy and you'll save X amount of dollars. It's we want to be able to take the client like, hey, this is why you would want to do this strategy because it's going to help you on XYZ kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, for anyone who's thinking about working with us, right, what would you have to say to them?
Don't hesitate, just do it. Because it alleviates a lot of the problems. If you're like me, you don't like doing content, you don't like being in front of a camera. The process is super simple. Everything's kind of laid out in a framework, the file that makes it easy. And you kind of work right alongside of it, so you're not like sitting there alone trying to figure it out. We have conversations like this as we go through each individual step, and it really just if you avoid the analysis paralysis and just do it, it's just going to be one less of a headache that you got to worry about.
Yeah, for sure, right? Sometimes we get in our own ways from taking the right decision, right? And my goal is always to work as closely as possible rather than trying to outsource things right off the bat. Right? Just really to make sure that, hey, you're getting the best results that you need, right, to be successful. And the last thing is, you mentioned, obviously take the decision sooner than later. But if you could give some advice as to how to get the most from the services that we provide, like what would you say to some of the, the future prospects and clients?
Yeah, ask questions and you just listen. Every step you lay out. So if you're not sure about something, if you're uncomfortable about something, just bring it up, and then you have that conversation because obviously for you to be able to provide the best service, you have to meet you have to meet in the middle. So if you're not comfortable with something, just say it, and then you kind of work through that to make sure you are comfortable enough to do what you have to get done. And to me, that was the biggest thing. Is taking someone who's completely uncomfortable and getting them the right frame of mind to just take that initial risk and just be comfortable on the call or in front of the camera. And that was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, for sure. But hey, James, thank you for laying out, your experience working with us. Honestly, appreciating all the kind words and anything. And yeah, I'm looking forward to continue working with you and your firm and see what the future holds.
100%. Appreciate it.
All right. Till then, take care.